Miami, 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 Miami. It feels like Miami. Welcome to the Miami Heat Beat podcast show. We are back. We apologize for our lack of Summer League recap for the episodes. G and I mistakenly scheduled our vacations at the exact same time. This is a great case for us hiring an HR department, no Coldplay. But speaking of which, I'm your host, Franky G, today. I'm your host, Franky G. We are hiring. So if you have interest in joining us, interning, producing, on-air talent, send a resume, heatbeatmiami@gmail.com, and we might hire you. But with me today to break down a lot of nasty Summer League hoops is Saucy Takes, Coach Lu.
What's up? What's up? Summer League is over. The Heat sucked this year, in Summer League at least. But, no, there's no buts. They were bad. But we're back. That's the only but. There you go.
They were pretty bad. Chat is saying, I'm going to miss using Summer League champs as a coping mechanism this season. Same here. We're living in a world where the Hornets can raise a banner, and that's nasty work. With us today, Casper Ware, skeptic, Kyle Scarlett.
What's going on?
How you doing, Kyle?
Man, Summer League was interesting. I'll say that much.
It was. Look, I'm going to be honest. I was mostly a box score watching because I was on vacation. I saw highlights. I did not catch any games. I was on vacation. Forgive me. Sue me. But these guys are sickos, and they watched all of the minutes. They can tell you that Miles Gardner is an actual person, and I could not. But we are going to start.
Myron.
See, point proven. We are going to start with the hot topic. I want to start with Kel'el Ware, the returning guy. Made a lot of news with the public call outs from Eric Spoelstra. So Saucy Takes, Coach Lu, the original Kel'el Ware skeptic. What were your thoughts?
So obviously the call outs to me did not come by surprise. And like he's still young, so he's figuring this out. So like we're gonna give him some leeway. However, these are problems that have persisted. I've never seen Spoelstra talk about a young player like that early into their career. That is a concern. But what's not a concern is the way that he responded. Like we're going to give him credit where credit is due for sure. He put together two very, very, very good games after. One was spectacular. Like one was the best game that he played across both summer leagues, which was the last one he played. He was just more impactful, more locked in. The jumper looks a lot better. And I'm not just saying that because he was hitting the shots. I'm saying that just the way it looks, the way it's flowing, it's not catapulting anymore. It's more one motion. His base is set up. The release looks a little bit sped up. So that should help with the spacing ultimately and him getting more shots up. So definitely some positives there. We know who Kel'el Ware is around the rim in terms of his finishing and in terms of his touch. Like that's why he was scouted so highly, is obviously the athletic tools and his ability to finish around the rim. However, the jumper coming, further along is very nice. Defensively, it was a roller coaster that was going down more than it was going up, if we're being honest. It was really rough, but ultimately at the end, once they were able to get him out of those pick and roll coverages, when he's in pick and roll, he has a lot to learn. But when he's not in any pick and roll coverage, he's more impactful defensively. I do think he was moving his feet well enough on the perimeter. After he got called out, before he got called out, he was getting blown by Cole Swider. Yikes. But after he was, more engaged, it was just an engagement issue. But all in all, I think, started low, came back up to it. I would say he ended on a good note, which is the most important thing.
Absolutely. Like you said, we have to give him some leeway, give him some grace and let him grow. But just the stuff that has been an issue before needs to get corrected. And Kyle, you've been a big Ware believer and fan from the get-go. So I'm curious about your perspective on this whole summer league.
I think you and I touched on it when we did the pod about kind of what we saw. One of the aspects I think was adding the weight, because he's clearly added weight since the summer has started. So I think that definitely.
Whoa. Chat says, Kyle, you're barber, bro. Sniping him.
Basically, I feel like the
took you out of your element. I'm sorry.
the weight gain definitely had an impact. Now, obviously, effort is effort, so you're going to play with whatever you have. But I do think some of that impacted his movement as far as an adjustment. The jumper did look smooth to Lu's point, much smoother than it did during the season. Also, I think he was better man to man than obviously after the call out, but he was better man to man than he was in the pick and roll. I think that's a lot of just making reads, which I think is an IQ adding thing more than it is like a lack of effort. And he does have somebody as a partner who can probably help him with that a lot, because I think Bam reads pick and roll pretty well. But I do think he was impactful. He used his athleticism well, a lot of the shot blocking, being more of a deterrent and less of just jumping for blocks. I think that's something that we talked about when the season was over. When the season ended, is like, hey man, you don't need to jump for everything. You are 7 feet tall. Like, just put your hands up. So that was 1. 2, he didn't foul out at all.
Splash.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I don't think he'll ever get to do that.
I better not.
I can never see him doing this in regular season. He would get benched immediately.
That's Cole Swider defense right there. He said, "Got one for your ass, buddy." No, but it's I think there were some things to note. I was concerned a little bit that he didn't get to that spot where you would expect and hope for a returning player to get, that they're too good for summer league. Like, he didn't hit the ground running, and he kind of waited until Spoke called him out to get that urgency out of him. But like, there were some plays, like we talked about these earlier, just him pushing the break. We know he can slip, we know he can catch lobs, but the little things need to be a focus this year. And for him especially, if he wants to grow and they want to be a better team, he needs to do those little things more consistently. And we know this, the summer league team was nothing special point guard playmaking wise, so I felt like he should have gotten more opportunity. But we also know the Heat have never been really experimental in summer league. They kind of like stick to exactly what they're going to do for the season. So we know there's a curve that we have to kind of like expect naturally. The new guy, Kasparas, he's the second real hot topic. I'm going to start with Kyle, because you were the skeptic this time, and I know a lot of your concerns scouting wise for him came to fruition, but he did have some better games once they got to Vegas. So I want to hear what you thought about Kaz.
I think he played with better pace once they got to Vegas. I don't know if there was like a switch there or he watched more film, but he seemed to have played with a little more pace. Obviously, he still can't blow by anybody, which is still a big concern of mine.
And these are the summer league stats here for the Heat as a team. So if you want to check him out, got him from Real GM. But continue, Kyle, please.
I do think what I wanted from him, especially because the playmaking was made such a big factor of his game. I wanted to see assist totals be a little bit higher, turnovers being lower, him being able to take care of the ball a little bit more. Unfortunately, that wasn't necessarily what got. Now, he did have a game that it was like, oh, he can put the offense together. However, how often or how consistent can he put those things together is really the thing for me. And I'm a skeptic only because I would love to be wrong about the things I've scouted. However, it seemed to come to fruition a little bit more than I was hoping for, especially with a lot of the ways that he's been talked about. So if he's able to kind of use the physical tools, because I think that's something with him that I have an issue. All the tools are there. He's 200 pounds. He's 6'6". You expect a little bit more force from his game. And we saw it a couple of times, but I think it has to be something he strings together. I don't think he's going to get major rotation minutes upcoming, but I think he's definitely more of a project than maybe we thought.
Yeah, I was surprised people were penciling him in as a starter or a like right away rotation player. I thought this guy's gonna probably spend time in Sioux Falls. I don't know how early they're gonna do it there. But I expect him to see a lot of Sioux Falls minutes just to get him some runway. I wouldn't mind him getting runway with the big league club because like this is a lost season and they don't really have a backup point guard. I'm not trusting Drew Smith off an Achilles to hit the ground running either. But you know, Lou, we talked about like some of the concerns that Kyle had about the blowing by guys that definitely showed. But the defense were positive. I thought in Vegas he was a little bit more attuned to playing through physicality, and that showed as well.
Yeah, in general, I will say his physicality was off the charts, defensively at least throughout the entirety of the summer league. In my opinion, I think his defense was, it's been the most like that was the biggest sells point to his game here in the summer league was defensively. He was really, not only was he like trying and working, he was good. Like he was cutting off driving lanes. He was bodying people on his way to the rim. Like the drive-by thing is like the blow-bys and his ability to ultimately put pressure on the basket is always going to be a concern with him. He had one matchup where he got a smaller guy on him, the dude from Tennessee, Ziegler, who I can't remember what team it was against, but he was able to get to the rim in that game pretty consistently just because he was stronger and he did use his physicality. So I think it's more of an issue of like him fully growing into his body. One thing I will say in terms of like the playmaking aspect of the summer league as a whole is like, we have to talk about the team in general. The team sucked. Yeah. The team sucked. Like there's no fucking way to put this shit lightly. Like it was bad basketball being played. Too much. Like even when whoever had the ball, I'm talking like they were all the way at the top of the zone and all they were doing was basically just running high pick and rolls with people in the deep corners and nobody's moving.
So we got a $5 donation from Jay on YouTube. It said Kyle's barber gave him the Benjamin Franklin.
No, bro, I have locks, man.
No Benjamin Franklin. Kyle, I need somebody to screen cap that because Kyle looked down at that moment and he looked so fucking evil. Jesus Christ. Thank you for the donation, Jay. But yeah, Lou, we talked about this before the show that like for all these guys, the lack of shooting and playmaking on
just movement too, Franky,
and movement as well. Like guys,
that was the biggest
guys
issue,
just
man.
not knowing where to be, knowing how to
or
move
just
off the ball.
It like Keshad was in one corner, the other guard was in the other corner, and then it was just 1-5 pick and roll with another guy at the wing 3, and that guy's crashing in. So it doesn't matter. Like the only guy, like we're gonna get to it, but like the only guy who had success driving to the paint at all during the summer league was Pelle Larson. But like,
and Pelle was like throwing like physical, throwing himself into guys.
Yeah, and Pelle had 10 free throw attempts a game in Vegas. Yeah. Like he was looking for fouls. But like that's the point. Like a 19-year-old kid is gonna take some time to grow. I still hope he gets rotation minutes at least as as a backup or like as a third string guard. But if he goes to Sioux Falls, like that's fine too. Like he needs to play. But ultimately the defense, the physicality didn't seem like it was too much for him defensively. Like you can really tell, and I thought Spo made a great point of this because as I was watching all these Illinois games, there's other guys there that I did like too. Like they're all very well coached, and Spo said it. Like Spo was like, he's been coached extremely well on that side of the floor, and you can tell. Yeah. Like especially like when I went back and watched some more film against like some higher, like some of the turning games and stuff. Like his ability to stay on the defender's hip as he goes around the screen. Very good off ball. Like there are things to work on. Ultimately, I think that his stallion was like 15-4-3. Like didn't end the worst, but I don't think he was that good offensively where you're like 15 points. That's cool. I just think he had a hot half in game 1 of the Vegas Summer League. But ultimately, I am content with his Summer League experience. I don't think I ever questioned his motor or his effort or his want to get better. I think I more so just questioned how ready he is in terms of being a full-time point guard, which was a question anyways. So like that wasn't answered. The jumper, how consistent is it? I think it's going to be fine, but it's not there yet. which is fine with me too. Like for him to be a high level, I wish he would have shot more is my point. He was kind of hesitating and some people, I think this is fair to point out because a lot of people were really upset that he was playing off ball. I wasn't as upset. I do think he should have played more on ball, especially at the beginning. But ultimately, I don't see him as a full-time point guard. Like, I don't see that he's going to be a full-time point guard. And he's only that. Like, I think he needs to learn both positions. I wish they would lean more point guard than shooting guard or off ball. And ultimately, I do think that they did as the summer league went on. But I'm just saying, he needs to learn to do both. Because, like, let's be honest. Like, if he plans on getting rotation minutes, like, Tyler's going to have the ball in his hands. Davion's going to have the ball in his hands. Like, he's not going to get this sole leash to go out there and, run the offense per se. Because we saw the struggles there. Like, that's his issue. Yes, he can make some of these reads, but I think the Heat see that and they're like, let's develop him as a point guard. But right now, as an off-ball connective player, his level of reads as an off-ball connector is great to elite. However, on ball, that's where the turnover issue sparks. Like, that's where the lack of getting to the rim sparks. So I understand the philosophy to not only make him a point guard, because maybe they are trying to get him to the floor, like on the floor this year. And they're like, point guard might be a little bit rough for you to fully have the keys to the station wagon. Because right now we're on a fucking 2004 Toyota Sienna.
Yeah, no, and you definitely, like you touched on, you definitely need to learn how to play on and off ball in any system, let alone the Heat system. So him getting those reps early on, like, was good. I definitely, again, I didn't watch full games. I caught highlights, but like, I thought early on, it skewed way too far off ball. And but I also put that on him as well. Like, he being timid, like not calling for the ball, not demanding the ball, getting offensive rebound and kicking it, getting the ball and then kicking it to somebody else. Like, be aggressive. Like, I want him to be aggressive. I don't care about mistakes. I want him to learn from mistakes. I want him to hit the ground running, defensively competed, and I love that. And that's one of the biggest things that I took away from that. Potentially, if he can hit his ceiling offensively, at least come close to it, 80 percentile of his ceiling, you have a guy who could potentially be a two-way player, and at the guard spot,
valuable.
A guy who can shoot, who can pass and make guys better and hold his own defensively. That's very valuable. Like you said, let's go into the next, your boy, Pelle Larson, Mr. Foul Baiter himself.
Yes, sir.
Pelle Larson spends more time on the floor than the mop. Like, this guy is diving on the floor, throwing himself on the floor, getting free throws. I'm still concerned about the shooting because I don't think he's going to be this on-ball guy. Maybe some secondary ball handler situation. We'll talk a little bit in the future about him versus Jaime, but I think the shot needs to get more improvement. But Lou, where did you see improvement? Where did you see some static growth? Give me your full thoughts on this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I loved Pelle's summer league. I thought he controlled pace better than any player we had. Got rushed a couple of times because, again, when he was on the floor next to Cass, he was a point guard. Like, they were treating it as, like he was the guy initiating every set. So that, that was pretty interesting to see. I think it yielded some mixed results in terms of like his efficiency. But again, his ability to just put his head down and get to the free throw line is fucking impressive. And we saw it, we saw it in stints last year. Like, he was one of the few guys, like, he'd come in off the bench and you're like, oh my God, all of a sudden we got a couple of rim attempts. Now, it doesn't mean that they're always going to go in, but shit, sometimes you just need somebody to make the defense think twice or maybe send somebody else. Some of his decision-making. Yeah, exactly. Some of his decision-making was iffy for the most part, but I will say once he was able to just make like simple reads, shit that you would expect out of a connector, not a true initiator. Again, I thought he did fine there. Defensively, I don't have an issue with him in terms of his effort or his physicality. I don't think he fouled too much too, so that was really good. But the jumper that's the biggest swing skill for like how much Pelle plays. There's no hiding it. Like, that's the biggest reason Jaime struggled to play. This last year, I'm sorry, because we saw regression with the jumper and hesitation with the jumper. The thing I did like about Pelle is he was shooting it. Like at the very minimum, he was shooting, especially after one of his first games in Vegas, kind of started off rough, but his second game in Vegas and from then on, his second and third game, he was shooting pull-up threes and just being a little bit more confident with the jumper. And ultimately, I do think that is how you can get the maximum potential out of him as like, you know, a two-way role player who can space the floor and dribble pass shoot. Like I was, to be honest, out of the three guys we've talked about, I've been the happiest with Pelle. Like in terms of expectations. Surprise, I guess.
Legends Agenda says Jaime hasn't been the same since that Mexico City trip. The answers just took his shooting back when they saw he needed a translator. Honestly, G might have taken his shooting when he saw he needed a translator. Kyle, Pelle Larson, 33% on 4 threes at the game, 2.3 fouls per game. It led the team in turnovers, which I'm not too concerned about. He's not going to be a primary ball handler. 83% from the line, 9.7 attempts a game in the 3 games he played. Kyle, what were your thoughts on Pelle Larson?
I liked his pacing. I liked his physicality. I think also what he showed was his touch around the rim. Not every shot went in, but some of the degree of difficulty on some of them, especially I think it was one of the games. One of the commentators was like, he's not beating anybody off the dribble immediately, but he is getting where he wants to go. And that's what you want. You want to see a player figure out and have counters to defense. And so
and that's a great person for Kaz to lean on, to learn some of your limitations and lean on your strengths and use your body like that. But continue, please, Kyle.
The jumper to me is important because if you're going to open up more driving lanes for yourself, you also need to be able to be a threat from 3 or somewhat from 15 to 22 feet. That at least if you pump fake, somebody's actually going to bite and you're not Jaime from the mid range. And so to me, if he can stretch the floor a little bit, if the jumper is a little more fluid, I think there's a little bit of stiffness to his jumper right now. And not just now, but like it just looks like he's not comfortable taking the 3 all the time off the dribble. So if he's able to kind of figure out the fluidity to that, I think that opens up the driving lanes even further. And also I think he's a pretty stout guy, like as far as like build. So to me, there's all the physicality to take. You said 9.7 free throws.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
Obviously, I don't think that he's going to have 9.7 free throws per game on, you know, the big team level. However, if he can average 4 or 5, right, like that puts him in with the minutes he'll play. That puts him in some interesting conversations as far as getting minutes and being effective. So I'm intrigued to see what he continues to work on. I'm also intrigued to see how he operates for Sweden, how they utilize him, and maybe that shifts kind of what his usage is looking like when he plays for the Heat main roster.
I agree. We know Spo's watching Eurobasket for Pelle and for Nico to see how they grow, and rooting for those guys. Those great points from the both of you guys. Now let's get to a little bit more of the disappointing guys. Keshad Johnson. Kyle, we'll start with you. I think personally, I think Keshad, I'm not surprised he struggled. Like he's very limited offensively. We scouted that. He's one of those guys really dependent on playmaking, and spacing. Defensively, like he's a good defender and with potential there, but he needs to show some more growth offensively than he showed. He did surprisingly lead the team in assists, tied with Pelle there. So I thought that was important, that he's moving the ball well, taking care of the basketball. That's at a minimum what you could do when you can't dribble and shoot. Right. So what were your full thoughts, Kyle, on Keshad's summer league performance?
He was very tepid for me. I thought that there was going to be opportunities for him to showcase one, just he's got I had to say there was a grown man build. Keshad Johnson has that, like very, very physical, does play a physical brand of basketball, does cut pretty well. I think his jumper is one of the things that I thought we were going to see more showcase of, because that's, you're not going to drive and dunk over everybody unless you're Giannis.
Right. And we are dealing with small samples. He's 3 games. He took 12 threes. So he hit 3 of them. So small sample.
Also, I think for him to get to his game the way he does in Sioux Falls, obviously there's a difference in an application. we talked about the construction. This roster was constructed strange. I don't
So
understand
strange.
what was the purpose.
7 big men, 7 centers.
I didn't understand what was. I didn't know if
Half a point guard.
like I didn't understand what exactly they were trying to maximize. They didn't maximize any of the guys that you would think you're building a team for, and so I think Keshad kind of suffered the most of that. He did have, he did finish at the rim, which is something that is one of his strong suits. The defense was interesting to me just because I didn't understand what for somebody who does play pretty decent defense. They didn't utilize him to his strengths defensively, just like the wingspan, his ability to move his feet. I just don't understand the play calling. So I think that's some of what he struggled because what exactly was Eric Spoelstra-Timu doing? I have no idea.
I was gonna say Kyle Scarlett is Eric Glass's biggest hater.
Yeah, I don't like him.
I think Kyle originated the Eric Ass nickname, which I feel like is pretty unfair. I feel like you're very limited in what you could do summer league wise with this kind of roster, but I did. There were things I didn't like, so I can't even fight too hard for you, Eric. Lou, you had a lot to think about, to talk about for Keshad. So I want to get your perspective, please.
Yeah, I just like uneven and disappointing, to be very honest. Like Keshad is somebody who I even tweeted it out. Like ultimately, it's tough for a guy who cannot dribble whatsoever and not a very good or willing shooter, like a low volume 3-point shooter, somebody who's 6'6", low volume 3-point shooter, and has not improved the jumper nor from the sample size that we had. Obviously the dribbling by far has not improved, and I don't think, like, at this point I think that's done for. Like the jumper is what you want to get better, and it was inconsistent with the jump shot the whole time. I think he shot 25% or something like that, which is exactly what he shot in the G League last year. So again, it's not a tall tale, like it's not an end all be all, but this is a guy who only had 1 year of good shooting, and it was in Arizona, his very last year, and it was still like mid 30s at best on volume. But before that, he didn't shoot at all in any of his other stops. So that is a serious concern for somebody who is going to be, he's a small 4, like, let alone a small 5. Like, let's be very honest. Like, I know he looks bigger. It's because he's very wide with his chest and stuff. But somebody who's 6'7", 225, that's a 4 for power. Like, that's a 4 for Spoelstra, damn near a center. But like around the league, like that's not, his athleticism makes up for his size concerns. Is what I'm like. He plays bigger than he is because he's just as athletic as he is. So there's two sides. Like there's two players there, right? Keshad Johnson on the fast break, elite. Like in transition, we still see it. Like his ability to get above the rim, his ability to run out in transition, to create these pick six turnovers, to capitalize on 2-on-1s or 1-on-2s or 1-on-1s, whatever it is, you're going to have to stop him with a foul. And then there's Keshad Johnson in the half court where he's legitimately getting completely dismissed. They're sending 2 to the other side to guard a pick and roll. Like he's just sitting in a corner. He doesn't really come out of the corner. He's not rolling. Granted, again, they had 7 other centers, it felt like, on this roster. So there was very limited opportunity for him to be the roller in some of these pick and rolls. But ultimately, just in terms of play style wise, offensively, I think you would want to get him towards a DJJ level when we used to have DJJ, and we were running, small, big pick and rolls, and he was able to slip and get to the rim with some spacing, especially from Kel'el. But we got to see none of that. I'm not here to take a shot at Eric Glass. I actually think like his after timeout plays were fucking incredible. Like the only time the team was able to score was after they called a timeout or get a good look. Besides that, Jesus Christ.
Eric was Ratto ass.
Yeah, Eric's not Eric ass. Eric's whatever. No, but Keshad was just disappointing. But ultimately, like, you could do worse, I guess, with your final roster spot. Maybe not. We'll see. I just hope he improves. Mm-hmm. His character is never an issue. So there's that, like, even back to Arizona, like he plays with intensity. I remember when I went last year, like he was by far the most loud and most like high energy guy during warm-ups and pre like game and stuff. So by far, like I don't question his character whatsoever. So I do think that there is some faith there for sure. It's just how can the shooting improve, and will it improve enough towards where he can be playable? We've seen, like very few guys been able to stick with the Heat if they can't shoot at the 4. Like that doesn't happen. Like we saw Mo Harkless try, he couldn't shoot enough. Was out. Like PJ Tucker started banging from the corner. That's why Spoelstra loved him. Plus, obviously, all the other things he was able to do. But like it's a rough position to be in. Like we've seen Highsmith at times get phased out of the rotation just because of the inconsistency with the jumper. Obviously, his jumper has greatly improved, but I'm talking about when he first started. So we see this tendency that they have been able to fix some of these guys up and get their jumper right, but he definitely needs to tighten that shot up for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And we'll see. I think we'll see better looks from him as the season goes with more playing time, and hopefully we'll see what happens with that opportunity. Because I think the reps will be there for the taking if he wants them and he competes for them. Let's go into real quick. We're gonna we're already at 32 minutes. I don't want to go too long on these guys. We're gonna start with Golden. I'm gonna go back and forth. Real quick, 30 seconds. Golden, what did you think? Lou.
Jesus, let's be honest, guys. Like I didn't like him getting a two-way right away. He's very solid as a screen setter. Doesn't really provide too much as a roller, but ultimately the feeder a question mark, his athleticism is a question mark, his ability to rebound out of his frame is a question mark. His biggest pros is he's big as hell, he's strong, and he he sets good screens. Like he tries, and he was trying, but ultimately I just don't know what the ceiling is here. Like I don't think there's a rotational second or third big there ultimately. So I do, from what I'd like for them to look elsewhere eventually for that third big spot.
Kyle, what is your take on fake Taylor Lautner? Real quick, go.
Just not fast enough feet for me. Weird from the free throw line and
horrible from the free throw.
The rebounding outside of his frame is one of the things I picked up as well. Like for somebody that big, you hope that that's a strength. Did not see much of it. You would think he imposes his will with the type of strength he does have on the boards. There was a couple of games where I don't think he had over 5. That's a problem to me.
I agree. Let's go real quick. Kyle, we'll start with you. Anybody else that caught your attention?
I liked Cook, but again, I'm not sure. I thought his offense was interesting. I thought his athleticism was interesting from the defensive perspective. I thought he shot the jumper pretty well for them when he was on the floor. He played with a lot of effort and activity. So I liked him a lot, but I'm not sure what's going on there as far as availability.
Lou, who do you like?
Myron Gardner, bro. Like I'm not even like I wish I was kidding. I liked him more than I like Keshad Johnson. And then I never seen him play before that, but tough as hell. Like this guy dislocated his finger in his first game in Vegas and came back and played in Vegas and dropped 18 and 19 points right after. Like never questioned his heart or his hustle. I went back to get some stats from him because I think it's ultimately good to see like their long-term career. He's 24 years old, just like Keshad. He's a month older than Keshad. One of my biggest improvements, or one of the biggest things I saw with him, is he was shooting about 7.5 to 8 threes per 100 possessions last year in the G, 38%. This year for the Heat in the Summer League, I think he was at 67% from three. He was on a burner, but he also didn't miss a free throw. High effort, intensity guy. The Heat do need two-way wings. He was able to put the ball on the floor. He was able to get to the rim. He was able to shoot from beyond the three, not just the three-point line, but he was able to shoot from above the break, which is very important for spacing, more so than being able to pull from the corner. Some of these were off the dribble. His intensity never wavered, in my opinion. And in the Cali Summer League, I thought he was one of the best offensive rebounders that we had during, I don't have those stats up, but just from what the eye test told me, It felt like he was there with every single second chance opportunity, doing everything and anything, switching 1-5, blowing up ball handlers on switches, like blitzing the hell out of these guards and forcing turnovers. Just super intense. And I would be actually very upset if he did not get a two-way, or like, I think he's warranted a two-way for me personally, but I guess if they want to see some more games, then might as well give him an Exhibit 10 or just invite him to camp and see if he wins that out. My dog agrees with me, which is always nice. But yeah, that's basically where I'm at. Myron Gardner.
Dogs recognize dogs. That's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, this was your real brief Summer League recap. Kyle, before we go, anything else you want to talk about overall about the Heat? I know we've, it's been a minute, so I don't know if you want to get your quick 30-second thoughts, 30 seconds to a minute thoughts on anything Heat related recently.
Man, I'm glad that they brought Davion back. He has a ball in his hand all the time. I wish more players were like that. I'm intrigued to see what he's like with a full training camp and everything. Also adding, great, I can't remember his Norman Powell, another dog. I'm intrigued. He's D-Wade stamped. Now, granted, that's a lot to be said because we have somebody else that's stamped in trouble. But I think having him should offset some things offensively and defensively. So excited about that. I'm intrigued to see what the team looks like. I do think they still need playmaking.
Yes, absolutely. So. Playmaking and more shooting.
What do you mean? We got Fontecchio.
Get the Fontecchio out of here. Lou,
exactly.
Any points you want to touch on that you haven't had a chance to?
No, not really. We'll talk about it more in depth on a different episode. This one's already gone 38 minutes. But thank you guys. And next year we're going to be, trying to compete for another Summer League championship.
We need revenge. Honestly, whoever's in charge of fucking Summer League rosters for the Miami Heat, they dropped the ball this season,
bro. Like they had Ware, and then they're like, let's get Golden, and then let's get Omar Ballo, and let's get Dane Danger, and let's get like 17 other centers. I'm like, what is nobody can shoot, nobody can dribble. God knows, I don't think we had a point guard on this whole roster.
This was a Timu version of the 2011 Heat, where they had like Jamal McGlure, Juwan Howard, a Big Z. They had 18 centers, no shooting, and Eddie House's ancient balls on the court.
Yep, that was rough.
All right, guys, we will be back soon enough. We'll see where we go from here, and any Heat news. We're gonna try to get a more consistent schedule going. Once again, heatbeatmiami@gmail.com. Drop your resume if you know somebody, if you are somebody that wants to work for the Miami Heat Beat show. Not the Heat Beat show. So we need podcasters, we need talent, we need producers, we need editors, graphic design, you name it. We pretty much need it. So we're also helping with college credit and stuff. That's something we helped with the intern. So if you need to know somebody who can do this, wants to do this, we're trying to run our TikTok. We need help with our Twitter. We need help. We need help. We are rebuilding. Chat says G and picks for Brady. We are hoarding picks right now. We are we do not have the salary for that. We're looking for where Moose wants to vacation, and might send him for a couple of picks, maybe, but. Shout out to these guys, lovely gentlemen here. Shout out to Chopper. I won at the arcade on vacation. Chopper the GOAT. You guys have a great night. Thanks for being here with us, rocking with us on a Monday, Tuesday. I don't even know what day it is. Fuck this.